Hey guys, so with Joe Biden seeing an incredible surge in terms of his popularity nationwide, I want to take a look at how this is going to benefit him in the election and just how big of a deal it is comparing his favorability right now to candidates of the past. And before that, make sure you join my public Discord I have just launched today. It's a great place for us to hang out. We can hang out and chat about really anything you guys want. So make sure you join that. It would really mean a lot to me. The link is in my community tab as well as it is the first link in the description below. It's at the very top of the description of this video. So make sure you join that if you haven't. And so yeah, basically today I want to take a look at the favorability rating of Joe Biden. As you can see in the last couple of days, his favorability has surged from 2.4% all the way up to 6.9%. He's now 6.9% favorable in terms of his net favorability, and Donald Trump's, as you can see, negative 11.3%. So Joe Biden's favorability right now, his net favorability rating, is currently 18.2% higher than President Trump's. And President Trump's favorability right now, it's actually not that bad. I mean, it's much worse than when he was at negative 6.8, but it's definitely much better than when he was at negative 14, negative 12. So this number really isn't too bad for President Trump, and this number for Joe Biden is actually good. Joe Biden might be a lot more favorably viewed than Donald Trump, but they did get pretty close. Biden only led by 3.4% in April. This was really when Joe Biden was still expected to lose this election. But right now, he's plus 18.2, 6.9% net favorable. That is a big deal. So President Trump, as you can see, it's been pretty much the same. Has been slightly increasing after the Black Lives Matter protests started to die off a little bit. I mean, of course, they are still occurring, but they are covered much less. And really, in my opinion, as you can see, it was really the month of June that really sparked this. As you can see, May 31st, negative 12. And then June 2nd, negative 13. So really, it was these protests that really destroyed the Trump campaign, in my opinion. Because before this, when COVID-19 was still a big deal, we were in lockdown in March and April. But as you can see, Donald Trump saw some of his best numbers during this point in time. And that's just this kind of leadership mentality, I guess, support the leader when your country is in a crisis. And that's what we saw with, George W. Bush right after 9/11, when his approval rating shot all the way up to 90%. That is basically a record. And then for Donald Trump, I mean, it did increase, but it really wasn't going to increase as much because there were still a lot of people who were still criticizing how he handled the virus. And now it's even more. President Trump has caught the virus himself, and that is honestly due to his negligence and just how naive he has been over it. I mean, of course, I do wish him well, and I wish that he has a quick and speedy recovery. But honestly, it's his fault that he caught it, and I do hope that he's able to come out of this strong, but it's going to hurt his campaign, and he has really been very reckless about this. As you can see, his favorability did go up a little bit since he caught it. I guess that's just sympathy from Republican and some independents. I really don't see any Democrats, feeling better about President Trump after he caught the virus that already killed 200,000 people, and now he decided to learn about the virus, as he has said, and he's been doing all of those interviews with no mask on, and those videos, honestly, I don't think they're helping his campaign. Joe Biden plus 18.2 over President Trump right now. Taking a look at his net favorability, as you can see, a majority of the American people view Joe Biden favorably. This is a huge shift from 2016. If we take a look at the 2016 data, none of the candidates were viewed favorably. As you can see, Hillary Clinton's was better, negative 12.6, but that is literally worse than President Trump's favorability right now. So in this election, we have some much more favorable candidates than we did 4 years ago. 4 years ago, both candidates, I think, were pretty horrible candidates. I mean, on both sides of the aisle, honestly, there were so many better candidates that were, probably going to be much more popular. But those candidates did end up winning their primaries, so they did run in the general election. But as you can see, Hillary Clinton, negative 12.6. She used to be one of the most popular women in the entire country. And then this campaign really did ruin her popularity, as well as her being Barack Obama's Secretary of State in from 2008 to 2012, or 2009 to 2013. But that honestly ruined her credibility and just all trust in Secretary Clinton after being Obama's Secretary of State. Yes, before the campaign in May 2015, she was viewed favorably. Not favorably, but much more favorably. So negative 1.3%, just a little bit over a year before before election night on November 2016. So this is all the back in 2015, and you just saw her popularity drop, basically since her candidacy really took off. And then it did go up a little bit, but at the very end, it did drop all the way down after the October surprise. You can see in late October, Hillary Clinton's favorability after the email investigation into her emails by the FBI was restarted. Really did drop. Dropped a little bit as well. But at the end of the day, Trump was able to win over those undecided voters as well as some of those independent voters. So Hillary Clinton 41% favorable, Donald Trump 37.5. That is honestly just such horrible favorability for these two public figures. If you take a look at Joe Biden's favorability right now, it is literally 50.6%. So a majority of voters, everybody that viewed Joe Biden favorably, he would win the popular vote with a majority of the popular vote. And I think that if he really were to win a majority, I think that his chances of winning the election are pretty large. For Hillary Clinton, 41%. That's still better than President Trump, who at that point was down at 37.5%. But as you can see, Hillary Clinton also did have a huge chunk of the American public view her very unfavorably, as so did President Trump. So I want to compare this to 2012. So Barack Obama is the most popular Democrat in the entire country. And his favorability right now, or not right now, but in 2012 when he was running for re-election, was just plus 4.2. Now that is not bad. He was a once-in-a-lifetime candidate. He along with President Trump, I think President Trump was also a once-in-a-lifetime candidate. They were really able to capture the American people in a way that other candidates, haven't. Just standard politicians like Hillary Clinton, she really didn't do too much. And this time around, President Trump really isn't the same candidate as he was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, he was a political outsider. He was someone that people thought could, bring change to Washington. But honestly, has he really done that much to do so? No. And really, has he really, come through with his campaign promises? The wall really wasn't really built. They are still building fragments of that wall, but really it's nothing like what President Trump was describing during his campaign. Just a lot of promises really were made. Hillary Clinton isn't in jail, so 4.2% favorable for Barack Obama in 2012 when he was running against Mitt Romney. This is all right. It's not bad for a president that is pretty good. Basically, he is running the country, so definitely a lot of people are going to disagree with what he's doing. But plus 4.2, that was pretty good. But now Joe Biden is more favorably viewed than Barack Obama was on election night in 2012. And if the trajectory of this election is going to continue this way, Joe Biden's numbers are only going to go up. If we were to take a look at the betting odds for this election, Joe Biden has hit a new peak as well. He now has on Real Clear Politics an average of 64.5% chance of winning the election according to the betting odds. 64.5%. That is huge. Take a look at this graph. So even when Joe Biden was leading nationwide and in most battleground states by a slimmer margin, though, Donald Trump was expected to win the election. He had around a 51% chance of winning throughout basically all the months of March, April, and May. However, once it became June, as you can see, once it was June, after the Black Lives Matter protest, as you can see, this is a clear result of that. Even when COVID-19 was occurring, he was still expected to win the election. But after that, Donald Trump's numbers fell. They fell to 36%. Then they fell even more to 36.1. Joe Biden peaked at 60.9% at that time. And then as the month of August, during the month of August, Joe Biden's numbers basically fell tremendously after the Republican National Convention. Donald Trump was making gains in many, many states. It got really close. At one point, Joe Biden only led by 0.5%. However, at the end, Joe Biden was never able to give up his lead. His numbers went up again a little bit. It hovered around the same area. And then after the debate, as you can see, after the first debate, Joe Biden's numbers skyrocketed all the way up to plus 22. And it stayed the same for a while. However, after Donald Trump caught COVID-19, as you can see in the beginning of the month of October, Joe Biden's numbers went up again. He's now up at plus 29.4 over President Trump, 64.5 to 35.1. So this is very good data for Joe Biden. Basically, this means that most Americans are betting on a Biden victory, and this has nothing to do with the polls or who they support. This is just who they think will win, as money really does transcend, everything else. So this is what honestly Americans do believe, who Americans really do believe is going to win in terms of the betting demographic. So taking a look at President Trump's job approval, this is his approval rating, so 44% approved. Comparing this to his favorability rating, as you can see down here, it is a little bit better. So there is, that 1% of the American public that views Donald Trump unfavorably, but if we take a look at the polls or his job approval polls, they do think that President Trump is doing a good job. Disapprove 53%, 54% basically. And that is basically his unfavorability rating. So there's definitely correlation between those two numbers, as you can see, negative 9.1%. And then taking a look at this graph here, so Trump very unpopular in his first year, then basically it stayed kind of the same for the next couple of years. He became pretty popular. He hit his peak in terms of his job approval just this year in March, on March 31st. I believe he hit his peak, and then as you can see, after those protests began in late March and early June, his numbers went all the way down. He was at 41.5%. That was a historic low for him for quite a while, and then his numbers are starting to go back up again. However, right now he is in a downward trajectory, went from 45% all the way down to 44%. But I think that it'll hover around this same area until the election. Really don't see it changing too much, but it might still go up because, as you can see, with previous approval ratings for previous presidents, their approval rating does tend to go up as the election approaches, especially if it's their last year in office or if they were to lose the election. So the president's approval rating is probably going to go up a little bit right before the election, but really I don't think it's going to affect this election that much. Taking a look at the polls, Joe Biden plus a whole 9.7% nationwide, as I talked about yesterday. He's doing very, very well nationwide. Every single state, he's doing very well. And then the real clear politics map. This is basically every single state that Joe Biden leads in right now. He leads in very notable states. I mean, take a look at this map. This would be a dream scenario for the Democratic Party. I mean, he is leading in so many Democratic states. If I can get rid of that thing up there at the top. Okay, so Joe Biden leads in so many states. He leads in Washington, Oregon, California, of course, as we all expected, Hawaii as well, most of the Northeast. He leads in New Hampshire, Maine. He's actually not leading in the 2nd District of Maine, which I think is pretty surprising. He leads in Iowa, Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, 4 states that went to Trump by 9% Iowa, 8% Ohio, 3%, 4% North Carolina, 5% Georgia, Florida, 1% Trump, now in the Biden column. Virginia also in the Biden column. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin all went to Trump, now in the Biden column. Arizona went to Trump by 3%, 4%, 3.6%, I believe. So in the Biden column now as well, giving him 374 electoral votes for the former vice president. So this map is looking more and more favorable for Joe Biden. And I mean, we've seen surges for Joe Biden in terms of his polling numbers. As you can see, Biden's surge in polling numbers. He has surged in terms of his betting odds. His chances opening the election now higher than ever. He has surged in terms of his favorability as well. He's now plus 6.9%. So really, we did expect a race to get closer and closer as election night approaches. However, as of right now, the election seems to be doing even better for Joe Biden as we are now less than a month away from election night. But, everything can change. But right now, I do not see too much changing. Joe Biden leading in basically every single toss-up state except for the state of Texas. So this map is looking more and more favorable for Joe Biden. And as election night approaches, we're going to be able to make even more accurate predictions for this election. So yeah, that will be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like down below. Make sure you join my Discord if you haven't. Again, it is the first link, or basically the first thing, I guess, in the description down below. It is also on the community tab once again. Make sure you join that. I think it's going to be pretty nice. We're going to have giveaways and events and all that stuff, so make sure you join so you don't miss out on all of that. Leave your thoughts in the comments below for this video, or just anything that you would like to say, I guess. If you have any questions, concerns, or suggestions for videos you'd like to see from me in the future, leave those in the comment section down below as well. And I will see all of you guys in the next video. Again, thank you guys all so much for all of the support that you guys have been giving me, and I will see you guys later today.